Hey everybody, this is John for MTG Nexus here, both on Twitch and on YouTube's later. We're playing some Willie Idle's latest brand of Jund. This one's a little bit all over the place with where he has some of the cards, but given the performance of his last couple of decks and leagues, I'll go ahead and believe in Willie, as even Reed says he's kind of the godfather of Jund even before Reed was on Jund. For those of you who don't know, Willie Idle is kind of a legend within the Brazilian Magic scene, kind of helped foster the growth of the Brazilian Magic scene. I'm not sure if he was there before someone like Paulo Vitor da Rosa, but I know he was definitely integral in the formation of the Latin American community, especially in Brazil. So what is different about this version of Jund over some of the other versions that he's been playing? This particular version is based around Klothys, God of Destiny. I've run into this card a couple of times playing some other decks in Modern, notably in a league, in a prelim that hasn't gone up yet. With Burn on the YouTube channel, I got destroyed by Klothys playing Burn out of a Gruul aggro deck. It was like playing Gallia of the Endless Dance and a whole bunch of other stuff, but the cards that really destroyed me in that matchup were Klothys and Dragon's Claw. And I was really impressed by this card, and apparently Willie kind of shares those sentiments a little bit. He called it Lightning Sulfuric Vortex Helix, Deathrite Shaman with Hexproof, improved Scavenging Ooze. Klothys is all that. Remember when Kronos destroyed us Jund players? She's the same for 2 less mana. So he said it's unbeatable in the mirror, very good in grinding matches, and useful versus life gain. He wanted to try some in the main, and that's why this list is a little bit weird in terms of what it's doing and all that. So what is this deck doing that's different from traditional Jund? Basically trying out Klothys, and then he has a 1 of Ashiok in the main deck, kind of as a hedge against some of the bigger mana decks that can be a problem for Jund. This deck is basically a twist of traditional Jund now that Kroxa is kind of one of the premier threats. As Reed and Willie both said, it's now basically a black-red deck, splash and green for Tarmogoyf, Wrenn 6, and Assassin's Trophy, Bloodbraid Elf. So for that reason, got to be careful when you're fetching that you don't necessarily fetch the basic forest all that often. It does make bringing back Kroxa especially difficult. Obviously, there are some spots you got to be mindful of your life total, especially now that we're on the 3 Inquisition, 3 Thoughtseize split. He also has a 3/3 split on Fatal Push and Lightning Bolt. This can make Bloodbraid Elf Cascades a little bit more awkward in some spots. Sometimes having the 4th Bolt's nice. Just being able to go face with that or hit a Planeswalker. Beyond that, not a whole lot unique in the main deck. 2 Assassin's Trophies and 1 Maelstrom Pulse. 4 Liliana, 3 Wrenn. Kind of feels like the default numbers. Other thing, over the last list we played is he has a copy of Sheltered Thicket over the 2nd Raging Ravine, and then he's only running 1 Barren Moor, and he's also running, I believe, 2 Nurturing Peatlands. So a lot of like adjusting of the mana base to try to maximize Wrenn 6's utility. See if that comes up at all awkward at all in some of the spots. Sideboard's definitely all over the place now. With Ashiok and Klothys in the main, the 2 Kolaghan's commands got moved to the sideboard. Beyond that, you have Fatal Push here, along with Huntmaster of the Fells for some kind of the grindier and smaller creature matchups. Nihil Spell Bombs in spots where you want additional graveyard removal over Ashiok. Since you're not running Scavenging Ooze, and you're not running anything like Grafdigger's Cage because it inhibits your own Kroxa, it does mean you have to run targeted graveyard removal like Nihil Spellbomb. Ashiok can help in that capacity as well, but it's a little bit slower, obviously. Collector Roof is kind of a nice nod to the Urza decks. It's also pretty good against equipment and such. I notice a lot of people, the equipment decks have sort of Feast and Famine, so it's nice to have a card that makes that card kind of useless. In addition to that, you have Pillages and Boils and Chokes. Obviously, they serve different purposes. Pillage is pretty good in some spots where you're just playing grinding matchups, but Choke and Boil hard targeted for the blue decks that are kind of all over the top of the meta right now, whether it be the various Urza decks or the various Bant snow decks that are running around. Beyond that, Master of the Fells helps in the grinding matchups. Kolaghan's Command, much the same thing. And then additional Klothys here, because he feels this is a very powerful card. So that said, let's hop into some matches and see how this version does in the league. I'm very impressed by his lists so far. Granted, I think for the most part, we've avoided playing the big mana decks too much, so it's kind of nice to... I think we played against Amulet last time around, and we were able to beat them, but beyond that, kind of avoided like too much Tron and such. And we really haven't played too many of the blue decks either, so interested to see how those matchups go. Oh, wow, this hand is extremely slow. So, can I realistically keep a hand that does nothing until turn 3? And can't even cast Leon at that. I think this is a mulligan as a result. It's just too slow. This hand's a little bit better. Awkward in terms of our inability to cast like Bloodbraid Elf or anything, but I still think this is a keep. Probably put back one of the Fatal Pushes, because we almost have too much in terms of interaction here. Okay, never mind. Bushwhacker, Grenade, Goblin Guy, Legion Loyalist, Loyalist, Loyalist. Well, I think it's between Bushwhacker and Grenade. That's going to be a heck of a hand to fight through. I think I take Grenade there, just the card gives them the most reach and also can answer most of our creatures like Tarmogoyfs and stuff. So I don't know that we're beating that hand. That's a heck of a lot of gas. I guess we're kind of hope they don't draw the second land. Of course they draw the second land. Don't trigger here. Take 2 here. Take 1, sorry. Tarmogoyf's a nice one here, and then set up the ability to cycle this Baron more. She'll put a 4th card type in the graveyard. So far they're through all that. So they have a Loyalist and a Bushwhacker in their hand. There's a Loyalist. They're just hard casting the Bushwhacker. Okay. Cycle the Baron more here. Yeah, that's not terrible. I still think the most mana efficient play here is just to... Do we need a second red? Probably not. So I guess I could grab Blood Crypt, but that gives us an awful lot of damage. Double black. I'm supposed to get the mountain to conserve my life total a little bit. That's a pretty nice one. Alright. The problem is we don't actually gain a ton of utility here. I think Clothis is fine. Fatal Push is probably fine. Ashiok obviously can come out. It's not very good. Might be able to shave a Kroxa or two. Kolaghan's Command could be fine. The problem is, like, a lot of the cards we want to bring in, like Huntmaster and Kolaghan's Command, are just absurdly slow in this matchup. So is it just Kroxa and Ashiok for Clothis and Fatal Push? Really feels like we want to get a Huntmaster in here, at least one. Question is over what? Over one of the Lilianas, because Liliana can be a little bit slow, especially on the draw. Go ahead and do that. Be mindful of the fact that, especially as I'm on a red deck, they could be bringing in something as goofy as Blood Moon. Is this hand good enough? So, Thoughtseize into Liliana. Is that enough to disrupt what they have going on? Probably not. I think we're supposed to mulligan this hand. This hand feels a little bit better. Putting back what, though, is the question mark. So, I think it comes down to, do I want to put back the fetch land, or do I want to put back the Overgrown Tomb? Fetch land allows us to be a little bit more conservative with our life total, and allows us to trigger Fatal Push on something like a... I think for Fatal Push considerations, I'm going to put back the Overgrown Tomb. Denizen. Yeah, I think we may just have to push Denizen here. This actually becomes interesting. Am I just supposed to hold up Fatal Push, or am I supposed to Thoughtseize them? Because if you Thoughtseize and they have a bunch of 1-drops, or like a Mog War Marshal, then Denizen's getting in for 3. It's possible I was also supposed to board out some of the discard, but they do have quite a few high-impact cards. I think at this point I'm supposed to Thoughtseize them and take my lumps this turn. Hope Tarmogoyf can kind of break things on a little bit. Grenade, Bushwhacker, Loyalist, Denizen. Again, I think I take the grenade. Take my lumps this turn. And okay, so I'm taking 4 this turn. Loyalist, Street. Kind of hoping to draw a push or a bolt next turn. I don't think Goyf's going to actually do all that much on this board right now. This is going to be one of those situations where I think we fetch Forest, Preserve our life total a little bit. Not the 2/3 Goif. Okay. So I think this is going to be the bad turn. Yeah, that's... So we're taking 6 from those guys. Going to 5. Do you have a Goblin Grenade? Alright. So this allows me to push and bolt. I fetch basic mountain, push. So again, we're kind of at the mercy of Goblin Grenade and such. Double bolt obviously could be problematic. Goblin King. Bolt this. So we're dead to bolt and whatchamacallit at this point. Goblin Grenades and bolts. I guess that's a good top deck. There should be Cardboard Live should be up with the deck list. Is it not showing the deck list? Yeah, it's in the middle corner right by the in between the 2 players icons. It should be showing it. So we got a Goblin Guide out of them. That's interesting. I think I'm supposed to hold back for one more turn. Granted, we're just basically dead to basically anything here. This is one of the dangers of like fetching basic forest that we did earlier in the game, as we can't bring back Kroxa. So that is problematic, obviously. Still think I'm supposed to start getting aggressive with Goif now that we've had a couple removal spells in hand. Just to... We can't play defensive all day long against Gobos. Or Marshall. Need to get another black source. Probably just overgrown Tomb here. This is an awkward situation. Do I cycle the Baron more or play it as another black source for Kroxa so we can start getting a little bit more offensive? I think I'm supposed to play it here and hold back with Tarmogoyf this turn, since attacking really accomplishes nothing. Actually play the Echo. Okay. Legion Loyalist. So we're just dead. Guess we're not just dead. We block here, kill this, take one. Have a bolt or something, we're just dead. Let's see. Be mindful of what card types they have in their graveyard. Want to leave at least one instant. Last card was a land. We'll leave them both back this turn, and then we can cast Bloodbraid next turn. Okay. Get rid of one of those Mogg War Marshal tokens. I think we attack with just Kroxa here. Once again, calculated risk. They draw a haste. Actually, never mind. Any Goblin's lethal. Yeah, that one would have been lethal regardless, so. Alright. On to game number 3. So is it just better to have Kolaghan's commands than Liliana's in this matchup? Like, I know it's sacrilege to talk about taking out all the Lilianas, but I do wonder if just Kolaghan's commands aren't better. Let's take out the final Liliana for a Huntmaster on the play. None of these other cards do much of anything in this matchup, so I think we're just supposed to do this. Get all of our life gain, all of our interaction on the play other than Liliana. And now we have the no land problem. Seems pretty reasonable. Question is, what am I putting back? I think for now, Huntmaster. I think we're more concerned with living through the turn than anything else. Living through the first couple turns, I should say. Okay, there's Denison. Supposed to fetch. I feel like we're supposed to fetch a red source here. Look, it's Blood Crypt. Let's try to kill. Got all the kill spells. Now we just need to find like a Clothis or something to kind of stabilize the game. That's don't like dealing myself the extra damage there, but I think to set up my mana, that's probably the best action. Definitely screwed up the bolt push sequencing there. Master's a nice one. Okay. Their hand just like a bunch of whackers. Yeah. Definitely need to prioritize killing Legion Loyalists in case we ripped a land for Huntmaster here. Of course, we would rip a okay. Sure. Don't think there's a reason to play out the swamp right now. King is very annoying here. Clothis is decent, but it may not be enough to stabilize us here. So we're dead. Can't block with a token when there's a Legion Loyalist in play. Bloodbraid would have found Ren and 6. Oh, it's kind of rough there. It's one of those situations where not having either Plague Engineer or Anger in your 75 kind of punishes you a little bit, but it's a little bit awkward with the basic forest mentioned talking about Croxa, but I think overall a pretty solid hand. Thoughtseize into either Run in 6 or Inquisition into Run in 6 or Tarmogoyf's pretty decent in a lot of spots. Probably gonna fetch Blood Crypt. Oh my. Well, I'm glad we are on the play. So wasn't quite sure what the right take there is. I was thinking it was between Serum Visions and Pack. Now that they have to find both parts of the combo, I think it's much more likely that we'll survive for a couple turns. Against Grishelbrand. Not Grishelbrand. Neobrand. Card on bottom, one card on top. We can start Lilianaing their hand next turn. Okay, did you draw the... Really? So between the Serum Visions and 2 draw steps, they found Allosaurus Rider and Neoform. Cool. Still think I was supposed to take the Summoner's Pact, but... Okay. So they can draw their entire deck. So if they don't win this turn, they're definitely dead. Okay. Yep. Cool. I don't know that we actually have too much to bring in this matchup. I guess Ashiok in Klothys doesn't do a whole lot. Not particularly vulnerable to boil or any of that nonsense. Guess let's just bring in Ashiok. Like, obviously Ashiok just in conjunction with other things is fine. It's not great, but it's fine. No hand disruption, not good enough. I think at this point we just gotta keep on 5 and hope we get a little bit lucky. Put back Bloodbraid Elf. And question is which one of these is... I guess Kroxa into Liliana better, or is Tarmogoyf into Liliana better in this situation? You're supposed to just put back a trophy. I mean, there's a good chance it doesn't even matter what hand we kept, since we didn't find any discard going down to 5. I think attacking their overall resources is important here. Probably has... Okay, Wild Cantor. Interesting. Already have one of the Autocron Worms in hand. Okay. Sure. And the Lab Maniac win? Hmm. I think that's just one of the issues, like one of the risks of playing Jund sometimes is, like, I'm not doubting the wisdom of Willie's builds, but when you're... The problem with the answer-based decks in Magic has always been the more answer question specific your deck gets, the more vulnerable you are to just like random nonsense. Like, this particular build doesn't have any Anger of the Gods, no Plague Engineers, etc. So we play against Goblins round one. The problem with Goblins in particular is there's a lot of haste coming out of their deck. So even if you like stabilize the board and you're ahead on board, they just have random nonsense that can like punk you out, which is exactly what happened in game number 2. And then against whatchamacallit, against Neobrand, like we Thoughtseize, they're packed. They Serum Visions, leave one on top, and then we just die the next turn. You know, it's kind of hard to... Sand's obviously pretty good. Thoughtseize into Tarmogoyf, potentially into Ashiok. Obviously we're on the draw, not as good, but really? Oh, okay, it's Spirits. Spirits is a little better, I suppose. So I can bolt them, I can Thoughtseize them. What am I supposed to do here? Planning on bolting the Basically, we're going to be bolting the Mausoleum Wanderer no matter what we do here. Even if we target something else, we'll be killing the Mausoleum Wanderer. Probably a Selfless Spirit. One of those matchups for Ashiok's kind of useless. Queller Company. Well then. Guess I'm taking Collected Company and understanding that my next 2 spells are probably going to be spell colored. Let's play out Tarmogoyf. Yeah, it's a good thing we took the Cocoa. Though I still think we're going to struggle to beat what's already currently in front of us. Is it possible I'm just supposed to Tarmogoyf here? Oh, they drew another Collected Company? Sure. Oh. Definitely want push. Ashiok can definitely go out. Like, choking at them in certain spots, but they're like, the way their mana base is structured, they're not beholden to islands necessarily. So I don't know how far I want to go down the land destruction rabbit hole. Klothys, maybe? I think I'd rather have Kolaghan's commands. Maybe go down like 1 Liliana, 1 Kroxa. Like, Liliana's fine against them, but they are more of an instant speed deck, so... Plus they'll inevitably have Veil of Summer. I mean, as far as a non-red spell hand, this one's pretty good. So, Collected Company, Noble Hierarch. We take Unsettled Mariner this turn, and then Collected Company potentially next turn if we happen to draw another black source. Bolt the bird. And hope these Tarmogoyfs can run them down before they get back into the game. and fetching like a Bloodstained Mire here. Not Bloodstained Mire, Blood Crypt. Okay, I wonder... Once again, basic forest, a little bit awkward. We're not Croxa first. Let's see if they pitch the Temple Garden or the island. So they have an island in their hand. Okay. To hit us for 4 here. Well, we're dead to a lord. Sure. That's just kind of how this league's gone so far. Took out Ren at 6. That's interesting. They got a Queller. We're dead either way, so... Yeah. Put us to 1. I mean, play out Ren, but we're just ultimately dead here, right? It's kind of a rough start. So round 1, Goblins. Problem with Willie's current build against tribal decks is no Plague Engineer or no Anger of the Gods in this build. So we've run into 2 tribal decks. And then Neobrand's just going to Neobrand sometimes. Inquisition, take a pact, play Serum Visions. And between your draw step, the Serum Visions, you found the... It's just like... This is Jund in like a nutshell, you know? Actually, no, this is kind of modern in a nutshell. Like, we're on the play. I think this hand's reasonable enough on the play. Like, the other day, I did the modern prelim with Burn. And, like, round 1, I got extremely lucky. Like, my... Yeah, the hand's fine. It's just, like... This is Jund, like, right? This is kind of what you sign up for when you play Jund. You, like, keep a hand, game 1, be like, well, I can't target anything, so... Like, hopefully we're not against blue-white control or something stupid. Okay, nope, we're against Amulet. Okay. So, how do I want to set this up? Inquisition's fairly nice in this spot, too, because we only have to buy 1 turn. Summoner's Pack Dryad. Go ahead and take the Dryad. There's actually some consideration that I should have taken the Summoner's Pact, actually. Because that might have tempted them to... Explorer's a pretty good draw. Why would I take Pack when Ashiok's going to shut that down? Like, them casting Dryad was a real thing this turn. I gotta fetch anyway, so I may as well just... Sure. So I could just... I think I'm just supposed to down-tick on this, right? Cycle Baron more. So now we get to see one of the decks that Willie's build was kind of targeting. Let's cast Bloodbraid Elf first before we do anything else. Awkward. I guess they can't give their Titan haste because they can't really. They would need to draw the haste lands, etc. It's like they can cast a Titan, but we can answer the first 6/6 with a Maelstrom Pulse. I think I'm just supposed to close out the game at this point, right? Like we have... Yeah, the game's over next turn without them drawing anything. Leave out Fatal Push for if they have like a Dryad or something this turn. Curious what they're going to get out of their board. Walking Ballista. Curious what they go after here. I think you have to kill Bloodbraid here, right? Or they just can't win at that point. Okie dokie. So Klothys obviously not particularly good in this matchup. Pillage and Ashiok are the definites. Beyond that, like, how... Like, how conceivable is the Choke Boil plan against... Because they specifically have to have Dryad in play for those cards to be meaningful. So is it worth minimizing some of our other cards or boarding something else out to bring those cards in? Like, we already have to make 2 more cuts. Shiva Ren, Shiva Croxa. Like, is the Choke and Boil plan worth it? I don't think so. This hand just doesn't do enough. I mean, it's fine. Back Basic Forest. So the reason to put back Basic Forest is the worst land in our deck in this particular build. Does not cast Kroxa. Ancient Stirring, sure. Karn. Grab our Blood Crypt here. Cast the Inquisition first. Oh dear. Well. Engineering Explosives is going to answer the first Tarmogoyf for whatever we play. I don't think I can focus on that. I think I need to focus on slowing them down. Let's probably take the Dryad here. And then I'm not sure what the Thoughtseize is supposed to take. Guess we hope to rip like a Liliana or something. Not Liliana. Ashiok next turn. Maybe a Pillage. Go ahead and Thoughtseize them. One, two, three. Guess we trophy this and hope to rip another answer to Titan. So dumb that they can Titan with 5 lands now. It's like the thunderstorms are firing up again outside. Just want to thank everybody for hanging out this morning. I'm going to be trying to stream a little bit more often in the mornings, usually Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. I'll try to stream sometimes on Saturdays when I can, but I'm definitely going to be sticking to Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7:30 a.m. Beyond that, a lot of it will depend on, like, life. So we can trophy the first Titan, hit them for 7. Then I don't know what our game plan after that is. Puts them to 8. Maybe I wasn't supposed to trophy the engineer explosives, but then we have no clock. So it's kind of like, at that point, what are we doing? Jukabog, Field of the Dead. Two, 3. Guess I'm supposed to wait till the draw step. Don't think they're on a basic island, so I don't think this is gonna trigger Field of the Dead. Well, let's hope their hand is all lands. Wow. I think this is just like kind of further proof that like the more you hard target something with Jund, like you're gonna beat it. But like, I don't know. I think the lack of Plague Engineers and Angers have come back to bite us a little bit already in this league. Yeah, I don't think we can keep this hand. This hand's got like no interaction, and we're on the draw. So this hand's a little bit better. Probably put back the forest here. Basically the same hand, only we traded a land for a Fatal Push. Fatal Push at least can allow you to potentially interact on the first couple turns, depending on what they're playing. Like in a lot of matchups, Push into Tarmogoyf is just as good as like Inquisition or Thoughtseize into Tarmogoyf. Yep, definitely keep. Once again, putting a basic forest on the bottom. It's the worst land in the deck at this point, specifically because of Kroxa. Okay, so likely Storm. Going to hold on to the fetch land in case we need to trigger Revolt, although I do think this is just okay. I was incorrect. This is Izzet Phoenix. Aight. So there's still somebody trying to make this archetype work. Alright. Put 2 cards on top of their library. So could take Serum Visions. I could take Surgical Extraction. Don't know that I'm particularly worried about Surgical. Yes, it could take like a Kroxa or something. I think I'm just supposed to take the Serum Visions. Trying to remember from my days playing Izzet Phoenix how this matchup used to be. Playing that fetch land was a mistake. Yeah, just fetch basic swamp here. Be a little bit mindful of my life total. They can double spell to kill this if they want to. Like Bolt alone's not going to be enough to kill it. That's annoying. Sure. Surgicling Tarmogoyfs is a little rough. Especially since they get the Phoenix here and have Izzet Charm backup. Very nice of Kroxa to give us definitely want to get the game over with, but at the same time, I don't want to give myself unnecessary damage. Though we are seeing the weakness of the Phoenix deck right now, and that it's really hard for them to chain multiple spells with the current builds. Trigger. Fatal Push, obviously a little bit awkward. They have another surgical in their hand. Feels like they might have another surgical here. Considering maybe taking Croxa. Cycle this, play this. 4 cards in graveyard. So we can't bring Croxa back this turn regardless, so... Get the last card out of their hand. Oxa. Oh, that's not a card we want to go in the graveyard. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's actually not good for us. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh dear. So we get to Ox here. Put us to 2. Oh no, they just kill. Don't know if that was the right play, but, you know, whatevs. A little bit late to the party, Ashiok. Am I supposed to swing? Put them to... attempt to put them to 2. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Mill myself. Red, red, black. Am I dead? Alright, Izzet Phoenix with kicker. Aria Flame. Force of Negations. Definitely want the Clothis, definitely want the Ashiok, definitely want the Spell Bombs. Choke could definitely hurt them. Cards aren't good. Kroxa is eh. Probably should have a run in 6. Let's say we're interested in the chokes, at least on the play. Cards are not good in this matchup. Try it like that. Fatal Pushes are necessary evil in the face of something like Thing in the Ice. Actually, there isn't too much we actually want to Thoughtseize in the matchup, but I guess so we only have 3 Inquisitions. It's kind of the way it's got to go. This hand doesn't do anything. This hand kind of does something, but it's really slow. I think we keep and put back Trophy or Liliana here. Yeah, it's just Bloodbird Elf. So we're kind of on the Walker plan. Hello, how are you? Go positive, man. Okay, so 2 cards on top of their library. Position's a nice one here. Morphos, 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 Ox. Guess we take Opt because it's like the only non-essential one. Okay. Okay. Surgical Extraction seems very dubious, even against Jund. I mean, it gives them information here, which is annoying, but... I think we have to play Ashiok first. No reason to tick down right now. Heal ourselves. Can we Croxa this turn? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Unfortunately, we cannot Croxa because of the wonderful basic forest. possible. I was just supposed to go trophy. Drew the 4th Metamorphose. Okay. Yep. Sure. Do it now. Doesn't particularly matter, I don't think. Because they only had 1 card in hand, so they couldn't have had Force plus blue card. Aria of Flame is a problem. Red, black. Croxa. They play freaking Remand. Yep. Let's get rid of that final card in their hand. Well, glad we got rid of that one. Playing around another possible remand here. Actually, shouldn't be bolding there. I'm about to be Izzet charmed. Oh yeah. Why do people never bring back Seasoned Pyromancer? Oh, I guess that can be done in instant speed. Never mind. Once again, our basic forest was a little bit awkward, but did save us against Blood Moon, so eh. The question is, does Ox fix the problems that Izzet Phoenix was having? Sure, I wasn't having the disconnect issues. Okay, let's bring back Croxa. Red, red, black. Creature. Oh. Choke. Land. Planeswalker. Alright, here's hoping. Sir dead? Alright. So bing. Yep, technically lethal. Yeah, Pulse would have done too. Alright. So they surgical us, they know what's in our deck. Changing things around really accomplish much. Huntmaster's slow, Bloodbraid's fine, Clothis is fine. Blood Moon's a pain in the hind end. I don't think we have any additional ways to play around it though, other than being mindful of the lands we fetch as much as possible at least. really kind of hard to play Kroxa and be mindful of how we fetch. Though to be fair, I think there was a Blood Moon Arkham's Astrolabe Jund deck floating around for a little while, so anything's possible, I suppose. Yeah. So I can fetch a forest and a swamp and be okay. Ish. Well, okay-ish as far as whatever our opponent's got going on. There's 2 cards on bottom. Alright. So I actually have to be careful about exposing my Verdant Catacombs here. If my opponent wants to be difficult. Pyromancer, Bolt, Bolt, Charm. So Charm can stop Ashiok, but I don't know that I particularly care about Ashiok right now. Double bolts make... I think if they want to double bolt things, I'm fine letting Tarmogoyf go that way. I think I want to fetch Forest here, that way I can play through a Blood Moon, at least on a nominal level. Like I said, once again, if they want to double bolt this, I'm fine with that exchange. Looks like they don't right now. Aria Flame is annoying. Actually screwed up there. I could have grown my Goyf by a point. Yep, and they get to kill Ashiok as a bonus. So they have Izzet Charm in hand. So actually they can't currently cast whatchamacallit, huh? Cycle Barrymore first. Then cast Thoughtseize, see what they got going on. Obviously we're going to pay for Izzet Charm if they try to Izzet Charm this. It's a good chance it's just a land in hand, but... So Ox requires 8 cards. Yeah. Still don't think I want to activate Ashiok right now. Did you draw another Aria Flame? Pillage. Okay. Hoping to hit a whatchamacallit there, but all right. Yeah, sure. Reason to play it out right now. Or sorry, Kraken, I mean. Is this the old, I'm going to let the clock run down because I'm ticked off? Yep. Feels like a concession lockup. Yep. Croxa would have helped end it. Alright. So definitely a, shall we say, unique league. I think the two things I will say about this particular list is I think this is a list that is hard targeted at big mana and blue decks. And two things we didn't see a particularly lot of in this league were big mana and blue decks. Two of our three losses were to Goblins and Spirits, which I think become an infinitely better matchup if you have like Anger of the Gods in your sideboard, or Plague Engineer, or those kind of cards that really kind of swing those matchups. I'm still not entirely sold on Hunt Masters, at least being multiple copies. Klothys was solid in the spots we drew him, in the matchups we wanted him. I don't know. Feels like the sideboard's almost too hard targeted towards blue. Like, maybe the matchups Willie's playing are different, but it feels like he's more hard targeted towards blue than even I would want to be. I think maybe 2 chokes and the 2 pillages are fine toward that end. I don't know that you're even necessarily then favored against blue decks, particularly the Bant and the Urza decks. The Urza decks. But yeah, the harder you target towards one area of the meta, Jund can certainly beat decks, whatever you want to target. The problem is, if you run into matchups where you're not targeting those matchups and you draw the wrong part of your deck, you're in some trouble. Like, part of the problem of not having, like, scavenging uses or the sideboard cards we were talking about, even matchups that are traditionally Jund's better bread and butter, the other creature decks become significantly worse. So I think the harder Willie's deck swings in that direction, the worse those particular matchups get. So it's always a trade-off with Jund, right? Like, if you want to beat something with Jund, you can beat it. Outside of maybe Tron, but I think even Tron you can make a reasonable matchup if you devote enough of your sideboard to it. I just think that this particular version, like you saw the strengths, we ran into a blue deck, we were able to beat it with Klothys and Choke in Game 3. Even with the incidental graveyard stuff with that deck, we had enough between Klothys, Ashiok, and Spellbomb. I think even though the deck's a little bit slower going on its graveyard, hey, it's fine. And then, obviously we beat, I'm drawing a blank on the other matchup that we won. Oh, Amulet, getting lucky with the Ashiok in Game 1. That was fine. And then Game number 2, able to win through 1 Primeval Titan was kind of nice. So, but once again, I feel like you can make those matchups reasonable without completely giving up on the creature matchups. So I'm not sure how to adjust the sideboard. I think that's something we'd have to work on moving forward, and maybe I'll work on it on Monday when I'm streaming that morning. But it feels like this board might be too far swung back the other way against the blue and hard ramp decks. So, anywho, you're literally coming in at the end, man. You are literally coming in at the end. I started a little bit early this morning because I woke up at like 6, so I'm like, I'll start the stream early. How you doing, Dreadbore? I started at 6:30. So it's like 2 hours. But I think this particular build of Jund is swung too far back the other way. We finished 2 and 3. We ran into Goblins and Spirits, which without like Anger and stuff is a problem. And then we lost to Neobranding. Game number 1, we Inquisitioned them. They had Pact Serum Visions, and then like Shoal, couple green cards. They Serum Visions into both a Allosaurus Rider and a Neoform, and we died game 1. In game number 2, we mulled to 5, didn't see any disruption. Played a Croxa on turn 2 and then died. And then we beat Amulet Titan by getting a little bit lucky game 1, having our 1-man deck Ashiok. I don't think the list is terrible. I think the list is hard targeted towards the top end of the format, which, to be fair, a lot of, if you're in big events, like if you're playing in these like super qualifiers or these preliminaries, I think it makes sense to target the top part of the meta, which is like, you know, the Bant Snow control, Amulet, Tron, E-Tron, etc. So I think him targeting those decks is fine. It's just, as always with black-green X decks of any type, the more you hard target the decks you want to beat, the softer you are to other portions of the meta. And then when you're playing a league and you run into those, you kind of get... And to be fair, Goblins is a weird one because we ran into the mono-red Gobos as opposed to the black-red Vile Gobos. And that deck is just like capable of punking you out, and that's basically what happened. We got punked out by Goblin King. The problem is there aren't too many cards that can target blue control that are good against other decks. Like, I understand what you're saying, and I even kind of echoed some of those sentiments. And this build was also designed to test Klothys, and I think Klothys is a fine card. I'm interested in testing with it more. It does some interesting things. It's just very slow to the board. The problem with maxing out trophies, and as a control player you should understand this, the problem with maxing out trophies is, okay, say your opponent plays a Teferi Time Raveler on turn 3. You can't trophy it right away. They bounce your Goyf. So now you untap, you trophy their Teferi, and you just turned around and accelerated them into a Teferi Hero of Dominaria, or Cryptic Command if they didn't have their 4th man drop. So Trophy is a reasonable card against control, but it's not great. Trophy does have downsides. I was just giving an example. Like it could be they played a Jace, or, you know, I was just giving an example of, like, or Trophy and Narset, or you know, Trophy a Detention Sphere on a Tarmogoyf. You know, I'm just saying there are downsides to playing a huge amount of that card. Willie's a huge fan of it. It seems like you're a huge fan of it. But, like, Reed absolutely hates the card. So, I don't know Grimm's opinion on Trophy. But I do know Willie really loves it, and Reed really despises it. He prefers Abrupt Decay. But he understands the purpose of having Trophy in the format right now. So... Anywho, this has been quite the league, so... Once again, Dreadbore, there are downsides to playing it in certain matchups. It's inefficient in certain matchups. It's card disadvantage. Is it huge in a lot of spots? Can it like blow up a Tron land, save your bacon? Can it blow up permanents that very few other things can do at instant speed? Absolutely. Alright, man. Hope you have a good day. And for everybody else hanging out in the stream, I want to thank everybody for hanging out this morning. If you're new to the channel, please consider giving us a follow here. If you happen to like modern content, specifically Burn and Jund, as well as some minor Pioneer content here and there, check out our YouTube channel. The link is down below. This league will probably be up sometime later today. I'm going to be streaming Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings generally at 7:30 a.m. I'll be doing it sometime on Saturdays. The problem is, like, I work during the afternoons, so I don't want to stretch myself too thin right now, so I'm going to try Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and occasionally on Saturdays. But that is what we'll be doing for now. This has been John for MTG Nexus. Thank you, everybody. Hope you have a great day.